What's up, guys? What's up, and welcome to the channel. So I'm sure that you have already seen all over the internet, all over the place, in my Discord, me complaining about it in random places, or other people complaining about it. But guess what? Cerise's skills are getting changed. You know why? Because Smilegate didn't test those things beforehand. And then they put it out, and then a bunch of people on the internet were like, "Whoa, hey, wait up! This is going to be like stupid strong. Have you guys ever thought about, you know, teaming her with like Dizzy and a Bazaar and a Roman and literally letting the other team not have a single turn?" They're like, no, actually, we didn't think about that, because the person who actually probably did this one, the one who made up the skill kit for this, is probably also the person who originally did Fire Corvus, the Fire Corvus change, the C Zerato changes, and was like, you know what, this seems actually pretty good, like, you know, and it probably won't be too overpowered. And then they let it out. They're like, oh crap, that's yeah, we should not run into another Olencia problem where it's pretty busted and then we have to change it back and then give everybody their bookmarks back because it's going to be stupid overpowered as soon as we get this into the hands of people who know how to use it. And so let's just preemptively nerf it and take a limited character that everybody was super hyped for and make it into a who knows how to use this. So we're going to talk about this, and unfortunately my head is in the way of this, but you know what, you're going to have to deal with it, and I'm just going to make it go above my head. So this GM Domino came out, and we'd like to inform our heirs about balance adjustments to Cerise, a hero whose information was previously showcased in the video titled Epic 7 New Hero Preview Cerise on YouTube. Now we're going to talk about Luminous Explosion. Now, before this exploded a magical sphere, stunning for 1 turn before decreasing combat readiness by 30%, increases combat readiness of the caster by 50%. Now it's going to do the same thing, except they're taking out the combat readiness decrease. Now I'll talk about why I think that was just a real dumb idea, and the next part would have been fine, but now it's going to be kind of poo-poos. So Froststorm, and this is the S3. This is what everybody was like, yo, this debuff is going to be absolute pog. This thing is going to really shift a lot of the meta. It's going to really lock down CR push teams. You're going to have to work around this. Make sure you bring, you know, some cleansers or something along those lines to get rid of this debuff, because it is going to be really strong. Now, before, it attacked all enemies with Raging Froststorm, decreasing buff durations by 1 turn, with this 100% chance each to restrict and decrease the speed for 2 turns. This also granted the caster invincibility for 1 turn. Now, this isn't actually really what changed it. We're going to go into the restrict debuff here. Now, this is actually kind of okay, the way that they changed this around, because now it attacks all enemies with the Raging Froststorm, decreasing buff durations by 1 turn before a 100% chance to each inflict speed and then restrict for 2 turns. Now, they're doing this because of characters like Fighter Maya, anybody with Seed, your ML Tywins that would get rid of that first buff. So this makes it so that, sure, maybe they'll instantly cleanse the speed down, but they're still going to have the restrict debuff put on them. Now, what did they do to the restrict debuff that makes this character kind of in a really weird place that's kind of who knows what right now? Well, they're changing the way that restrict works. Now, before, the target will receive no combat readiness increase effects other than that provided by the speed stat. Now, the target will receive no combat readiness increase or decrease other than those provided by the speed stat, which the speed stat can't really decrease your combat readiness. You can't get negative speed, so they should have just, regardless. So what does this mean? This means that if you are running, let's say, Cerise and Bazaar, you can do that, but you're not pushing anybody back with Bazaar. Now, previously, you know, a lot of people, including myself, were like, oh man, Cerise, Bazaar, Dizzy, or regular Roman, Fire Litica, any of those units would absolutely just shut teams down. And that's actually kind of what they found as we go through down here. First, we're going to form all of our heirs of changes that will be made to Luminous Explosion. Through the use of her new debuff Restrict, Cerise was designed as an effective countermeasure against enemies with skills that can increase combat readiness. However, we have confirmed that after additional decreases to combat readiness were inflicted upon enemy heroes afflicted with the Restrict debuff, it became very hard for those heroes to have a turn to act. Therefore, we have removed the combat readiness decrease effect on the skill and changed Restrict so that heroes who are restricted cannot be affected by further skills that increase their combat readiness. So the next change that occurred is the order in which they put in the Frost Storm. So that was basically what I told you. So that way, you know, if things have a cleanse mechanic, they can still get inflicted by the Restrict. So that's fine. Now let's talk about the changes to Restrict and why this is going to kind of turn her into, I don't know what she's supposed to be now, because this is going to, if you bring her, this is going to stop them from being able to push forward. However, it stops you from pushing back. Now, if they would have just kept Restrict, if they changed Restrict, but kept S2 the same, you could at least combo one person out by pushing them back and then restricting. Now, the rest of the units will have this, they'll still be where they were. You can't push them back and you can't push them, they can't push themselves forward. So you would still limit what one unit could do, lock that one unit down, but you wouldn't be able to lock any of the other units down realistically by pushing them back and never giving them a turn. So you would have to pick and choose who it is that you want to lock down. And even, let's say, even if you lap them, you still would not be able to push that one person back until after Restrict is off of them. So unless you have a way to strip Restrict off of them, push them back, and then put Restrict back on them, yeah, it's just not gonna work. So you basically kind of just hard cucked yourself and them. Now, what you could do in this situation is some big brain Senku plays here. Let's say they have a Cesareto on their team, right? Just hit him with Cerise, then you reflect it back to yourself, then you can't get pushed back. Easy peasy 500 IQ plays right there. But this did take a character who I can see working in a lot of teams and a lot of situations to help with control, and made her into a very mediocre character with a gimmick that helps them out a little bit, but not. I don't know. It's really weird. She's in a really weird place. Am I gonna roll for her? Absolutely, because she's limited. She's a limited waifu, and I'm gonna roll for her. I'm not triple S-ing her anymore. Before, it was a guaranteed triple S for me. I'm gonna get one and done. I'll probably get her, and I'll get the artifact. And then that's it, because they're limited. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, but maybe they'll buff her in the future and blah, blah, blah. She's a limited character. After she is out of the rotation, out of the pool, the only time we would probably ever see a buff for her is whenever they do a rerun for her. They took a character that was pretty game-changing and made it into a... I don't know where you would use this now, because, you know, maybe you use it in a situation where they have push forward, but you don't really run a lot of push back, I guess. The one turn stun is pretty good still, but there's other characters that can do what it is that she can do now. Sure, the Restrict buff is, like I said, interesting and new, and I'm sure somebody's going to find a way to use her, but she was supposed to be the lockdown unit for the CR push teams. Now, I completely agreed that this was going to be super strong. You were going to be able to run teams that literally whoever, if she went first, you won, because there was going to be no way that the other team could ever get a turn. Because, you know, between, you know, Roman Dizzy, you could throw a Shadow Rose in there, because you don't really need to worry about Bazaar Strip or Unbuffable, because, well, they're not getting a turn in the first place. And Shadow Rose can provide, you know, push forward, push back, defense break, anti-heal, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I think that, you know, this was just a really heavy-handed defense or nerf on this character. And I think that a lot of people who were in the market to roll really heavily are probably not going to now, because I mean, it went from I can see myself using this everywhere to I have to really think about where it is that I would use this character and why I would use this character over, you know, let's say two CR pushbacks, or, you know, another control unit of some sort. You know, why would I use her over? I could just bring a blue Dominel and then just stun them, you know, stun everybody, run a Captain Ricorous with you know, blue Dom and Roman, and that would be quite a bit of control right there. So like I said, I'm still gonna roll one and still say that if you like limited and you like waifus and you're thinking with your you know, lower brain, then, you know, definitely roll for it. I don't really suggest ever skipping limited characters, because you never know what somebody is going to be able to figure out, or, you know, how they'll work with a unit that comes out in the future. That's the same thing with like skipping any, like really any free unit that you can get or free artifact. Don't ever skip them. Always get something, because you never know what you're going to be able to use in the future. It's like people who skipped like Violin, you know, kicking themselves afterward, because they're like, oh man, this isn't going to be that great. And then like later on, they're like, oh crap, you know, okay, well that's crazy, you know. Or people that might have skipped Dizzy by Ken at the first Guilty Gear rerun, or, you know, the people who didn't get DN the first time around, and then after a while people were using her, figured out how to use her and what teams to use her on, and then they're like, oh wow, definitely kicking myself for not getting that. But I do think that they took her and overtuned her, or undertuned her quite a bit, but we'll see how it plays out. Definitely took my hype from like way up here to at least I can roll all my moonlights, so I will be doing that tomorrow. So I'll be, as soon as servers come up, as soon as the buff, or as soon as the banner drops, I will be rolling for at least one, and then I have about 60 moonlights. So I'm hoping that the hype from the moonlight summons is much more real than this banner, but a little disappointed. But at least now I can save my money, because I have enough to just pity one of her, and then we'll wait until see what Coeric news is next week on the KR stream. And you know, who knows, maybe we'll get a good Coeric, and then I can just roll for him, and we'll see how that goes. But anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think of the change down below, and you know, as always, do all those things that I tell you to do pretty much at the end of every video. And if you haven't, check out my clapping series. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Tomorrow we're gonna do some dumb stuff. Some dumb stuff in there every day. I mean, I take it super seriously, very seriously, trust me. But anyways, guys, I do want to thank you all for watching the video, and I will catch you on the next one. Take it easy, homies. Peace. Cracky.